Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another session of the Village Vitality series. My name is Aline, and I will be guiding you today through a series focused on love. We need more of it. I think everyone can agree with that. The world needs a lot more love. We need a lot more compassion. And like my shirt says, I choose love. It doesn't often come naturally, unfortunately, for a lot of us. We tend to look at other people that we might disagree with and we resent, we dislike, we might even hate. And those are strong negative emotions that really just fly back in our faces and perpetuate a vicious cycle. And so we got to choose love. We have to choose to see that even if we disagree with someone, if we can love, it doesn't mean that we're saying, yes, I agree with you, or yes, what you're doing is okay. It just means that I recognize that you are human, that you are hurting, and that I'm just simply showing compassion and kindness to you. And then typically comes back to you too. So it's a pretty neat positive cycle. And so what that means for physical exercise, because some of you may be thinking, oh, that's sweet, Aline, but how does this apply to our class today? We'll be focusing a lot on chest opening, heart opening. Another wonderful thing about this is hands down the biggest posture issue that I see in older adults is that what we call kyphosis. It's this forward rounding of the shoulders, tightening of the musculature here on the front of the body, the front of the shoulders, the chest, and then weakness in the muscles on the back, the shoulder blades, and really the whole back. And so if we can strengthen those back muscles, stretch those chest muscles, then we get our good neutral aligned posture. And so we'll see a lot of physical benefit here, a lot of emotional and mental and spiritual benefit, hopefully, from the practice today. So I hope you're ready for cracking open that heart space. Now, in terms of your setup today, if you do have a mat, go ahead and set it up how I have it today with just the legs of the chair just barely on that mat. That gives you plenty of room in the front and along the sides because we'll be doing some wide-legged postures, also working a bit on hip opening today. I do have my blocks set up under the chair. Again, that is optional, just like the yoga mats. You don't need any of it. But if you have it, it's nice, a nice little addition to your practice. Okay, so everyone go ahead and get comfortable. Now for our centering technique today, we'll be focusing on a breathing technique called square breathing, sometimes called samavriti or equal ratio breathing. We'll be doing a 4-count inhale, 4-count hold of the breath where we're not inhaling or exhaling, a 4-count exhale, and then a 4-count hold. Now, most everyone should be safe to do that breath retention or that holding of the breath. Really the only exceptions are if you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, meaning you have high blood pressure, you aren't on medication for it, or you are on medication but it's still so high. Then you're not going to want to hold the breath. You'll just go 4-count inhale, 4-count exhale. If you're pregnant, you shouldn't do it either. I'm not sure any of you out there watching this video now are in danger of being pregnant, but just in case, gotta throw that out there. And then the third reason why you wouldn't want to practice the breath holding is if it doesn't feel right to your body. So if you're practicing it and you just feel weird about it, you feel off, it's painful in any way, just listen to your body. Those are indicators that your body's like, nope, not doing it today. So other than that, let's get to practicing. I'll also guide you through a little bit of a meditation practice on receiving and offering love while we're doing that breathing. So, as usual, as we begin, it's up to you how you would like to sit in the chair. If you want a little bit more support, yet still working on that chest opening, that good posture, then you just want to make sure that you are keeping the back long, that you're leaning back instead of leaning forward, and if that makes sense. So you're really trying to press the shoulder blades towards the chair instead of like the mid back towards the chair. And that will help you just keep that chest open. Now, if you want to work more actively on your posture, then you can come to the middle or the very edge of your chair and work on that stacked spinal alignment. It's up to you. Now, if your legs fall asleep when you do this at the edge of the chair, that is your body kind of telling you, hey, you need to either not sit like that, or you need to shift, get the blood flow going to the legs, or perhaps come to the middle of the chair. So I'm going to scoot to the back today personally. And so go ahead and find your best, most upright posture. You really want, especially if you're sitting at the edge of your chair, you really want to stack the ribs over the hips, shoulders over ribs, head over shoulders. If you're leaning back like I am, your ribs aren't really going to stack over the hips, but mostly just want to focus on keeping the chest open and the shoulders relaxed. Go ahead and get comfortable. Allow your eyes to close. And just begin by turning the focus inward. So we're kind of shutting down our most distracting of our senses, which is the sense of sight. We're so bombarded by visual stimulation all around us in our environment. And it can often fill the mind and keep us from focusing on sensations that we feel in the body, on emotions that we feel, because we're overstimulated with everything around us visually. The TV, our phones, our computers. I mean, even when we're driving, there's so many things to look at that distract us, like signs, billboards. And so, again, this is our opportunity to shut that out and to bring our attention to our breathing, to our bodies, and even to our thoughts. So this meditation practice that we do at the beginning and the end of every class, it's not about stopping thoughts. It's not about emptying the mind. But it is about trying to harness. So instead of letting our mind control us, we're trying to take control. To harness that power and focus it. And today we'll be focusing it on love, compassion, and kindness to ourselves and to everyone that we encounter on a daily basis. How does that sit with you this morning? When you're ready, you can begin your square breathing. Remember that you control the speed of your counting. 4 count inhale, 4 count hold, 4 count exhale, 4 count hold. So the more challenge that you want, the slower you'll count. If it's very challenging already, then you'll count a lot faster. You might even try a 3 count or a 2 count. So just to make sure that all parts are equal, are given equal count. And so begin whenever you're ready. Inhaling 2, 3, 4. Holding 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 2, 3, 4. Holding 2, 3, 4. So that's just a recommendation for timing. However, you can speed it up or slow it down. So continue at your pace. Remember, we do want to challenge our bodies. We have to challenge in order to change. And all of you are here today because you seek change, whether it's mostly physical or whether it's a combination of physical and mental or physical, mental, and emotional. Whatever the case may be, you want change in your bodies, in your minds, in your hearts. And so you need to stimulate a little bit of a challenge. Taking a few more cycles of breath like this in stillness and silence. That 4 count inhale, 4 count holding of the breath, trying not to strain, 4 count exhale, and 4 count holding of the breath. And if you would like to pick up a little bit of a guided meditation, on your inhales, envision and imagine and feel that you're drawing in love, compassion, and kindness towards yourself. Drawing it in on that inhale as you hold the breath after inhale, it's filling your body. Every cell is vibrating with this sense of love and compassion. And then as you exhale, you're sending that love out to everyone else in the world around you. And so whatever that looks like to you, begin to see it. Maybe you see it as a light coming into the body. Maybe you see it as words coming in through the nostrils, filling you. The words love, the words compassion. Maybe you see it as acts of love towards yourself. What do you do for self-care? What do you do to show yourself that you love yourself? When was the last time that you've said to yourself that you love something about you, whether it's qualities or physical traits or abilities? Bring it all in. Hold it all in on that breath hold. Let it fill you. Let it feed you. Let it nurture you. And then on the exhale, send it out. And keep breathing like this, drawing in that love. You have to love yourself in order to be able to send that love to others without it hurting you, without it draining you. So even now, if it's tough for you to feel love towards yourself, there's a lot of science behind faking it until it becomes reality. So even if you don't strongly feel that way, try to feel those sensations. Tell yourself that you love yourself during this practice. And it may cause a shift. Take about 3 to 5 more cycles of breathing like this, drawing in that love, envisioning it, feeling it, sensing it, seeing it with your mind's eye, holding it in, and then sending it out. And as we begin our first movements today, I would like to challenge you to try to hold on to that square breathing for our first movements, just this first series of cat and cow. And so keep maintaining. You can drop the visualization, the meditation practice, but try to keep that square breathing. And begin when you're ready to just make your way to the edge of your chair. You can open your eyes or keep them closed if you can just listen along with me. And so to extend that breathing technique into our movement today, what you'll try to do is on your next exhale, let's say start on the exhale, you'll take that 4 count exhale to scoop out the abdomen, round through the back, press out through the shoulder blades, drop the head. You'll hold that breath for that 4 counts. And then on the inhale, you'll start to move into the opposite shape, pressing the belly forward, chest forward, shoulders down, chin lifts. Hold that inhale. And then again on the exhale, start to move into cat. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Take about 3 more breaths like this, maybe moving faster than I was cueing, maybe moving slower. Again, it will all depend on your breathing. And if you're not doing the breath hold, then just do 4 counts and 4 counts in terms of your back bend and your forward rounding. Try one more cycle. And on your next exhale, release the breathing technique, release that movement. Now, if you have blocks, go ahead and bring them out just about a few inches away from either side of your chair. We'll be doing some side-to-side reaches. So when we talk about chest opening, it's not just the chest. We have to open up the rib cage and all of these muscles that wrap all around. And so side reaching is a wonderful way to work into that as well. So if you don't have the blocks, you can have hands on the edges of the chair or even hand moving down the chair leg, depending on how far you can reach. If you do have blocks, you may just want to bring those hands lightly to the blocks as you reach side to side. But what we'll do here is start by moving over to the right side. So we'll inhale that left arm up, exhale into your side reach. Again, hand has a lot of different options here. Inhale up and exhale, reaching to the other side. So it's breath by breath, inhaling up, exhaling over. If having the arms overhead is just a little too much for you, maybe it hurts the shoulders or it's just too much effort, then you can do the same thing with the arms down. So you're still reaching side to side, breath by breath, but you're keeping that opposite arm, just letting it hang by the side. So you're still getting that rib cage opening, getting into those intercostal muscles, but not as much into the shoulders and chest. So it's definitely more beneficial if you can manage it to work with the arm movement as well. But I just wanted you to know that there are options. Let's take one more reach to each side. And inhaling back to center. Exhaling, let's bring those hands to cactus arms. So what that means is my elbows are in line with my shoulder, but my hands bent and facing up and facing forward, okay? So we're not out, we're not here. We're trying to make these 90-degree angles, okay? And so from here, you have two options. You can work with just the arm movement. So I'm going to squeeze the elbows together, pushing kind of through the backs of the shoulder blades, but keeping my spine pretty neutral. And then I'm going to open out. So the elbows can even squeeze down. Just give your shoulders a little bit of a break. Chest opening, shoulder blades are squeezing together. This is not only stretching the chest, but it's also strengthening the back. It's a great move. So you can just work on this, or if you'd like a little more challenge, we're going to add a knee tuck and leg extension, okay? So just the right leg first if you're doing the leg. Let's try for 5 of these. So we're going to squeeze the elbows together at the same time, tucking that right knee in, or again, just the arm movements. As you open out, you're extending the leg. So exhaling and inhaling. 3, 4, and last one. Exhale and release that leg down. From here, hands can come down to the chair, maybe even a little bit of a lean back, just depending on your comfort. You're going to open that right leg out, just kind of dragging it along the ground, and then bring it back to center. So starting to warm up those muscles in the hip, starting to get into the range of motion in the hip joint. So we've already done flexion and extension at the joint. Now we're working on what's called adduction and abduction. So just trying to go through all those different joint movements. Fun times over here in our virtual yoga class. And really, I don't call it yoga because, I mean, it is a lot heavily influenced by yoga, but there's a lot of other stuff going on, as you've probably noticed. So we do a lot of strengthening, some meditation, pranayama, and the asana, the physical yoga postures. Okay, now the next time you open that leg out to the side, keep it there. See if you can bring that foot down for a version of gate pose. Now, if you would like to shift over to free up that right hip so you can open it out even more, go for it. If you don't want to, that's fine also. So from here, we're just going to work a little bit more on that hip and chest opening. So bringing hands to the hips, you're going to inhale that left arm up. Exhale to move into a side reach over towards that straight leg. If you feel like you're going to fall out of the chair, then I recommend either turning sideways in the chair or scooting back over so that hip isn't so free, because that may be what's causing you to feel that way. If you have a block, bring that hand to your block instead of the hip. And here we're just going to try to take 3 more breaths. Inhale, open that arm back, so opening the chest forward any amount, so chest kind of lifting up towards the ceiling. Exhale, coming back to just that side reach. Inhale, chest opens, arm opens back. Exhale, side reach. One more time. Inhale, open. And exhale, side reach. And inhale to come back to center. Go ahead and shift that leg back forward. Maybe knocking over your block. Shift those hips back to center. Coming back to the edge of your chair, centered, both hips on the chair. And we'll just work with that right foot to go through some plantar flexion or pointing. Then dorsiflexion, so what we think of as flexing the foot. So try to lift those toes up. I know it's going to be challenging. And then what's called inversion. So you're trying to roll into the arch of the foot. Notice my outer edge of my foot is lifting up. And then eversion, which is the opposite. So I'm rolling onto the outer edge, trying to lift the arch. I might have mixed those terms up, but I think I got it right. So again, we're pointing, flexing, rolling in on the arch, and rolling out on the outer edge of the foot. Try to keep this knee still. So it's very tempting to move that knee side to side as you move through the inversion and eversion, or the rolling in and rolling out. But try not to do that because we really want to work the ankle here. So just slowly holding just for a second in each position. We're really focusing more on keeping this a dynamic movement, not necessarily stretching, although you will feel a stretching sensation. But we're really working on mobility here. And so there is a slight difference between mobility and flexibility. And what I usually teach folks is mobility is more about how the joint moves. And so it does have to do with muscular flexibility, but it also has to do with a lot more than that. So actually working the joints through their range of motion and not just thinking about, oh, well, now I'm stretching my calf and now I'm stretching my shin, which is more passive. This is more active. One more, cycle through. And relax that foot. Just notice differences between the two sides. Let's even it out. So remember, we're starting again with this movement. Maybe you just did the arms, and so then you'll just do that again. Or maybe you did the knee tuck, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling. And so remember, we're trying to keep the spine long. We're stretching the back and then stretching the chest. So the opposite, we're also strengthening the chest and then strengthening the back. It's a wonderful movement. And then if you're adding the leg, of course, you're also working the hip flexors and the abdominals and the quads. So a lot going on. Let's do one more. Exhaling, inhaling, and then exhale, release that leg down, sitting up tall here, or possibly leaning back, but still keeping that chest open and lifted. You're opening out and then coming back to center. Just lightly dragging that heel along the ground. Those of you with carpet may be experiencing a little more challenge for this movement. Good for you. And movements like this, guys, it's so important to show yourself compassion. So it's hard for me because I can't see you. Some of you may only be able to open this hip like this much, and that may frustrate you. And you may be tempted to have negative thoughts about, Why can't I do that? My hips are so terrible, blah, 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 that negative mental chatter. Try to stop that. I know it's much easier to say than to do, but it's important to try to focus on what we're grateful for. You can move your leg. Plenty of other people can't. And the more you can show yourself that compassion, that gratitude, the more results you'll see sometimes. It's letting go of the negativity and I can't do it. When we let go of that, we let go of our limitations sometimes. A lot of it's mental. There have been studies on this in terms of your mental state affecting your physical capabilities. So the next time you open out, keep it there, possibly just staying like this or shifting over to that left side so that you can get that leg a little bit more out to the side of the hip. If you've got a block and you'd like to use it, go ahead and bring that in line with your knee. Otherwise, hand comes to the hip, inhaling that right arm up and exhaling into gate pose. Wonderful stretching for the side bodies, the whole side of the torso. Hand can come to that block, like I said, if you have one. And let's take 3 more breaths here. Remember your inhale, you're opening that arm out any amount. Chest is acting like you could shine that heart up to the ceiling, although you probably won't be able to. And then exhaling back to neutral in that side reach. Inhaling to open. And exhaling, reach to the side. One more time. So a little bit of twisting here. Getting into the chest and shoulder. And inhaling to come up, maybe bringing that block with you to get it out of the way. Bringing that leg back to the front, shifting those hips back to center. Now let's work on that pointing, flexing, rolling in and rolling out with the left leg. So doing your best to sit up tall, to keep that chest open, to not let that forward rounding happen. So just do your best. Point, flex, roll in. Oh, see my knee moved in, and roll out. So you might even want to bring your hand to your knee. Of course, the knee's going to move when you point. It's going to lift up. That's the only time we really want it moving, though. So roll in. See, I corrected myself that time with my hand there just to help bring that awareness. Roll out. And cycle through several more times. Pointing, flexing, rolling in, and rolling out. You might not realize this, but drills like this are phenomenal for ankle stability. And ankle stability can be a big issue with fall prevention, or rather, good ankle stability can help prevent falls or aid in fall prevention. So there is a method to everything that I teach y'all in this class. It all usually goes back to a theme, love, but also just helping with your physical abilities as you age. So specifically designed for my 60 and older population. All right, relax. Maybe roll it out. Let's get into our sequence now. So ensuring that you're at the edge of your chair. We're going to move into that forward fold, dangle there for a little bit, enjoying that stretch. So remember, if you have blocks and you would like to use them in your forward fold, you might want to go ahead and bring them where you can reach them a little better once you're down there. Also remember, or if this is your first time, that if you have a condition where you shouldn't bring the head below the heart, then you're going to want to just stay relatively parallel to the ground. You're still going to stretch the low back a little bit here and get a little bit of spinal tractioning So there's still benefit. But if you have, especially if you have vertigo or something like that, don't drop that head below the heart. Or if you have extremely low blood pressure, that can also exacerbate that or make it worse. So let's inhale those arms up, keeping length in the spine, exhaling to fold forward, either arms up or out like I have them, or hands tracing along the thighs. Coming down into that first fold. Use the blocks to help support you or to help deepen your stretch. So the variation that I'm practicing right now with those arms straightened is helping to open the heart and the chest a little bit more and get into the shoulders. Now, if you don't have yoga blocks, I'm going to use them from now on. Again, though, everything I do, you can do without them. But I highly recommend just popping over, if you have the ability to drive yourself somewhere, going to Target, Walmart, Dick's Sporting Goods, places like that. Typically carry these in stock. But they're also super easy to order, like on Amazon. And as you might know or gotten communication about, we're doing that Amazon Smile. So if you purchase through Amazon, through that program, then some of the proceeds will go to Carolina Village. So love, giving yourself love and giving the village some love. All right, slowly start to come up. If you've got blocks and you're doing what I was doing, maybe you start by walking those blocks back into the feet. Start to straighten the back. Go ahead and lift about halfway up. We're going to do a little bit of work in locust pose here. So you're in, sorry, my bangs, I'm growing them out. You're in a bit of a forward fold position, but the back is straight. So if you need to come almost all the way back to upright to maintain a straight, flat back, that's what you'll do. So you'll be more here. But the lowest, try to go the lowest you can without the back rounding. So rounding would be this. Hopefully you can kind of see that, rounding forward. So I really want to keep this flat. Belly is pressing forward towards the thighs pretty actively here. And what that's doing is it's engaging the muscles along the spine. And so from here, just going to lift those arms up and back, pushing those palms together. Inhaling and exhaling, releasing. Inhale, lift and squeeze. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift and squeeze. Notice how I'm keeping my neck long. I'm looking down towards the ground like I'm holding an apple under my chin. Heck, if you have an apple or an orange, you can go grab it and actually hold it under your chin. A tennis ball might work too, but it might be a little too small. Couple more. Inhaling, lift, squeeze. Exhale, release. Press into those feet. Press into those hips. Last one. Inhale, lift, squeeze. Exhale, release, and come all the way back up to seated. Wonderful, guys. Let's move on with a little bit more abdominal work. Bringing those hands, let's say right forearm on top of left. Trying to get parallel to the ground here, or basically in line with the shoulder. If this is too much for the shoulders at any point, bring the hands to what's called Anjali Mudra, or like a prayer position with the hands. And so we're going to twist to that right side, really powerfully activating those abdominals on the right. We're going to tuck that knee, straighten that leg. You should feel this burning now. Tuck that knee and release and come back to center. I think you got it. Twist to the left. Tuck, Straighten, and you're breathing this whole time, guys. No set breathing pattern, but make sure you're not holding the breath. And center. Twist, powerful activation. Tuck, straighten, tuck, and release. Powerful twist. Tuck, straighten, tuck, and release. Couple more. Twist, tuck, straighten, tuck, and release to center. Twist, tuck, straighten, tuck, and release. Twist, tuck, straighten. Remember, you can give those shoulders a break if you need to. Last one to the left. Twist, tuck, straighten, tuck, and release. Last one to the right. Twist, tuck, straighten, tuck. Instead of releasing, let's straighten again. Release to center, release that leg. And you guessed it, we're moving into a little forward fold, stretching the backs of the thigh or back of that right thigh. Actually, let's hold off on the blocks because we're going to do a variation here if you can manage with a little hand clasp. So first, moving into that fold, knowing that, yep, I've got that stretch going on. I've got the right movement to my pelvis, so you're not letting that tucking happen, like tucking under and rounding in the back. So notice I'm navel's kind of pushing back. Chest is rounding forward. Instead of that posture, I want to really try pushing my sits bones, like where my butt sits in the chair. I'm trying to lift and push that back. I'm trying to push that belly button towards the thigh. All right, if you can manage this, and you can lift your hands away and you feel pretty secure, I would love for you to try a little shoulder and chest opener. So bringing the hands, interlacing those fingers behind the back. You're going to roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And this may be enough of a chest stretch for you, just trying to straighten those elbows. But if you want more, try lifting those hands any amount away from your back. And some of y'all might even find that you can fold a little more forward when you do that. And those of you that are even more flexible, you can lay your entire abdomen on top of that thigh and maybe lift those hands any amount more. But again, show yourself some love and compassion here, so you're not pushing too hard. You're not hating on yourself for how far you can go down or how high you can lift your hands. Stop all that negative self-talk. When you're ready, release that clasp first and then slowly come up. Excellent. Let's open those legs out, finding warrior two. So if you want a little more challenge, try doing this with no hands. So you're working with leg strength, balance a little bit, getting into that wide-legged stance. Remember, with our warrior two, that left knee is going to be bent, ankle under the knee, right leg is straight. When they're trying to go in equal and opposite directions. But again, depending on your hip flexibility and mobility, you might not be able to get this. It may look a little more like this, with the legs a little more forward, and that's fine. Really just want to try to make sure that no matter what, the ankle is staying under the knee of that bent leg. We're not going to stand here, so it doesn't matter too much if you feel that you could stand out of the chair or not. So from here, finding that warrior two, arms lift, gaze moves towards that front leg, the left leg. And bringing that right hand to the hip or to the chair. Inhale that left arm up. Exhale, reach back. So this is a bit of a back bend and side bend combo. Inhaling back to center. Now exhaling that left elbow to the thigh, sweeping that right arm down, up, and around to come to what's called extended side angle, Utthita Parsvottanasana in Sanskrit. Inhale to come up. Exhale, reverse warrior. Inhale up. Exhale, extended side angle. Arm sweeps down and around to the front. That is to help with shoulder and joint integrity. Inhale to center. One more back bend. Exhaling. Inhaling to center. One more extended side angle. We're going to stay here for a couple breaths though. So if you would like to try and you have a block, you can try bringing your hand to the block. A little bit deeper, a little more intense of a stretch into the hip and the groin. So don't do it if it doesn't feel good. And from here, we're just going to do some shoulder circles. So we're holding this position, keeping the chest open, but you're going to sweep that arm down and around and up. Breathing here. And go ahead and reverse direction. So 3 circles in the opposite direction. 2. Last circle. And on an inhale, coming up, back to your warrior 2. And then relaxing. Awesome, y'all. Decompress a little bit if you need to. Shake it out. Let's take that sequence one more time, and we'll just do a little bit of brief standing work behind the chair for balance. Okay. So finding that seated mountain pose, maybe again bringing those blocks to the feet so they're there for you in that forward fold position. When you're ready, an inhale lifts the arms. Exhale, lead with that heart, folding forward. Heart guiding you into that fold. Releasing heavily when you're down here. So head just dangles down. Roll those shoulders out a couple times. And take any variation that feels good to you. Like if you don't have the blocks, maybe this time you want to try to reach back. Or even if you do have the blocks, maybe you want to reach back for those chair legs. The lower down you reach, the deeper of a fold you'll move yourself into. Be careful here though if you have a herniated or bulging disc, or even like a prolapsed disc where it's just a little out of alignment. These deep forward folds are not the best for those spinal conditions. So you may want to stay a little bit more upright. It's okay to fold, but maybe again, not that deep fold. So play around with where you'd like to go here. We're going to take about 3 more breaths in this fold. One time I showed y'all even you could do some side reaching. So it's really good to reach into the rib cage and some of these big muscle groups like the latissimus dorsi along either side of the back. Those are our largest muscles in the body in terms of the surface area they cover. And this is stretching those muscles. So slowly start to make your way back up. Maybe again, walking those blocks in if you had them doing other things. Hands come to the thighs. Go ahead and come all the way up, and then we'll move down into that locust positioning. So deep inhale to lift and open, maybe even a slight back bend, chest opening. Exhale, hinge forward until you start to notice this happening where that back starts to round. So belly stays pressing forward. So come forward just as far as you can while maintaining that flat back. And then sending those arms back, locust. Remember, take your orange or your apple, squeeze it under that chest or under that chin. And this time we're just going to send those arms up if you can, and then sweep them back. Just holding this position, strengthening the back. Inhaling the arms up, exhaling them down. Press into those feet, y'all. Really push. Inhaling and exhaling. Shine that heart forward. Think about that love you're giving your body right now for this hard work that you're doing to strengthen, to open, to create change. This is your motivation. That self-love and then unconditional love towards others. All right, inhale, come all the way up. Exhale. Nice work. That was pretty challenging. Send those blocks out of the way. Let's go into our twisting abdominal toner. And I'm not sure I mentioned this on the other side, but that leg tuck is totally optional. So if you'd like to just focus this time left arm on top of just the abdominal twisting, you'll just twist and hold. And then twist and hold instead of doing the tuck, extend, tuck. Okay? So it's totally up to you how far you take it. So deep exhale, twisting to that left side. Tuck, extend, and tuck. Or you're keeping that foot on the ground the whole time. Come back to center. Exhale, twist right. Tuck, extend, tuck, and release. Exhale left. So we twist first, then we pick up the foot. Twist, tuck, extend, tuck, and release. Twist, tuck, extend, tuck, and release. Couple more, y'all. Remember, you can bring those hands to a prayer position. If the shoulders are just starting to talk too much, remember, we want to challenge ourselves, to push ourselves, to change, but we don't want to hurt ourselves. It's that fine line between compassion for yourself and pushing yourself. All right, last twist to the left. Twist, tuck, extend, tuck. This time as you release forward, extend that leg again. Bring it down. Send those arms down. Remember, we're moving here into our hamstring stretch. If you just want to focus on that thigh getting stretched, on your pelvic tilting, and that's enough focus for you without adding arms too, then just do that. Hang out there. Maybe you got your blocks. However, if you feel up to the challenge and you want to add a little bit of that chest opening action, then clasp those hands. So just clasping the fingers like so behind you. Roll those shoulders up, back and down. And go ahead and hinge forward. So same principle. I'm really like pushing my belly button down towards the ground. So I'm kind of leading with the heart, maybe even a little more though with my belly button. Trying to lift those hands up. And again, if you can release all the way down without the back rounding too much, go for it and lift those hands any amount higher. Deep breaths here. You can always let go of that clasp at any point. So if you want to let go and just focus on that fold, it's always up to you. When you're ready, slowly start to come up. You can release that hand clasp at any point, like I said. Coming all the way up, and now we're ready for Warrior Two on the other side. So opening the legs out, maybe not using the hands, but maybe you are using the hands, and so you're just holding yourself on the chair however you need to try to get as open as you can here in the thighs. Remember, the main thing that's important is protecting that bent knee. And so what that looks like is keeping the knee over the ankle. Okay, once you've found your warrior two, arms come up. And we're going to release into that reverse warrior first. So left hand to the hip, inhaling that right arm up, and exhaling into that slight back bend / side bend position. Inhaling to center and exhaling to your extended side angle, elbow to the thigh. Sweep that arm forward and around and up. So let's try to move breath by breath now for the next 2 rounds. So we're inhaling to come to warrior two, exhaling to our reverse warrior, inhaling warrior two, exhaling extended side angle. One more time and we'll hold that side angle. Inhaling up, exhaling reverse warrior, inhaling up, and exhaling extended side angle. Maybe again you're using your block here for a little bit deeper of a stretch, or maybe not. Maybe that hand's on the chair and you can't even reach your elbow down. That's fine. Those are just goals. It's good to see where you might be able to end up in order to challenge yourself. So from here, we're circling down. So chest stays exactly where it is. I'm only moving my arm. 3 circles in this direction. Just making as big of a circle as I can. And then 3 circles the opposite direction. So circling out, down and around. Here's 2. And 3. When you're ready, an inhale brings you back up briefly to warrior two, and then exhale, let it go. Relax. Bring those legs back to center. It's up to you how you would like to come to standing for our last little segment here. So if your balance isn't great and you're a little bit dependent on pressing into the chair or really swinging your weight forward, you might want to not try chair pose without having some support in front of you. So if you could get another chair to bring it in front of you, so just in case if you're in that chair pose and you feel like you're going to fall forward, you can grab hold of that chair. Then I would say go for it. You know, but since I can't see y'all, I could give recommendations like, all right, yes, yes, no, no. But it's going to be up to you to do your best to know or tell if you're ready. So that's why I say if you can stand up out of your chair without holding on, try it. Unless your balance is just awful, then just make sure you have something to hold on to in front of you. All right, perhaps using your block here. Either way, y'all, come on to standing, come around to the back of your chair. You might want to move your chair forward so you can stand on the mat. Those of you joining me in chair pose, walk those heels in. Heels might lift a little bit from the ground. We do want our toes more or less in line with the knees. Arms move forward, squeeze that block, engage that butt, squeezing those glutes. Breathing here. Maybe hands come to the heart instead because there's enough sensation going on in that lower body that you don't want to add by using the upper body as well. Let's take an inhale to straighten up. Exhale back to chair pose. What? I've never done this to you before. Straighten up. One more time. Back to chair pose like you're about to sit back down, hovering over that chair. And this time for real, come up, stretch it out. Exhale, release. Sending that block aside. Let's shift that chair forward. I mean, if you want to be standing on the mat. If you even have a mat. All of these ifs. It's really not necessary to stand on the mat, but it might feel nice if you have a hard floor to get the grippy mat supporting that foot. So let's start with left hip facing the chair. And remember the trick I showed you last time about having that hand down by your side. You want to be about this far, so the length of your hand, away from the chair. Bring that right hand to the hip. Now, those of you that probably couldn't lift a foot up standing like this, you're going to face the chair. And you're going to do the same thing. The chair just will limit how high your knee can go. So we're doing what's called opening and closing the gate. Not sure why. I guess this is a gate. But we're doing this movement, opening out to the side. So again, it will just limit you a little bit, but it's better to be safe and not fall than to try to get your knee higher. Okay. So if you can, stand sideways. We're bringing that knee parallel to the ground if we can, so thigh parallel. Opening out, bringing it back and down. Lift, open, back and down. Just a few more of these. Breathing normally, trying to keep all of this engaged. One more. Make sure you're not locking that supporting knee. It's staying a little bit bent. Okay, from here, we're going to start to hinge a little bit over to the side as we lift that right leg out to the side, coming to half moon balance or Ardha Chandrasana. You can stay here, just work on your balance, maybe lifting that hand away. If you'd like to join me for a little challenge, reach that arm so you're making like a long line with your arm and leg. We're going to tuck knee to elbow and extend it back out. Really working those obliques and the side body abdominals. 3, 2, and 1. And we're still holding now for that balance. Maybe even this hand comes down to the seat of the chair. Maybe this arm comes a little more to the ceiling. If you can, you're lifting that other arm away. Powerful engagement here. And when you've had enough, slowly come up. Oh, didn't even know my little block was there. Walk away from your chair. Take a nice little side reach. Oh gosh, that feels so good. Chest stays open. Oh yeah, sorry. I could stay here forever. Okay, let's inhale to lift up. And we're going to do the other side. I'm going to move my chair so my back's not facing y'all. Okay, so hand test. Feet hip width apart, hand to hip. Engage that core, engage those glutes. And lift that knee, open, back to center and down. I can already tell my left hip has less mobility than my right. So I'm going to try to push a little harder on this side to open out to the side. So I want to try to find balance between the two sides. You know, there's no human that's perfectly perfectly symmetrical. We all have some asymmetry in terms of our strength, of our flexibility, even possibly the structure. So some folks, one leg is slightly longer than the other. And the way that joints are put together might be different from one side to the other, but we try to work with it. We try to find evenness. And that's why it's just good to observe these things, to understand, oh yeah, now that you mention it, this side is weaker, or this side, I can't lift it as high, or this side, I can't open it out as far. And try to find that balance. Okay, last one. And from here, maybe shake it out a little bit. Yeah, we're working it, y'all. Okay. From here, half moon balance. So you can start with the hand on the hip. As you start lifting that left leg, start leaning over to the right. Maybe you hang out here this whole time while I do the tuck and extend. And you're just playing with that balance. Or maybe you join me here. So trying to reach that arm out long. Tuck and bring it out. Tuck and out. Let's go for 4 more. That first one was just practice. 3, 2, and 1. If you're feeling really ambitious, go for 10 of these on each side. Hold here, maybe sending that arm up for a little counterbalance, maybe coming a little deeper, lifting that leg a little higher. Trying to balance away from that chair. Maybe, maybe not. Oh. And breathing. Okay, and when you've had enough, come on up with as much control as you can. Step a little further away. Oh, let's give that juicy side stretch. To the side, like really the whole side from the hip all the way up to the armpit. And maybe bending that right knee. That might help you feel like you get a little deeper into that stretch. Starting to take some nice deep breaths. Getting into relaxation mode here for our cool down. Oh, and some of you probably guessed it. Standing down dog is next. So facing that chair, maybe you're in the perfect position here. This is where your standing down dog is. Maybe you want to walk those feet out a little further from the chair. Or maybe you're moving to a wall. So hang out in your down dog here. Open that chest, traction and lengthen the spine. If that looks crazy to you, and you haven't seen my wall demo in a while, I'm just going to use this little podium here. We're pretending this is our wall. So pretend it's, my full wall. Bringing my hands to probably about shoulder height. So my hands are against that imaginary wall. And I'm doing the same thing. But it's just a little less intense than at the chair. You can even bring your hands higher. So maybe your hands are up here on the wall a little more in line with the head. And you're doing that same thing. So just trying to poke that butt out. Keep that back long. Okay, hold it a couple more breaths, y'all, while I put this away. Deep, full inhales and exhales. And slowly come back up. So to come up, you're walking those feet in, making sure you're not dizzy. If you are dizzy, you just stay here for a minute until you're not anymore. And then you're going to make your way back to your chair. Final relaxation time, Shavasana, one of the most important poses of our practice, corpse pose. This pose allows everything that you did, all of the hard work, all the mindfulness, the intentions, the breathing, all of it to settle and sink into the body. And man, you'll feel so much more relaxed if you do Shavasana at the end instead of just, okay, Aline, loved it, goodbye. So stay with me just for a couple more minutes here. So you can move to your couch, to an armchair, to your bed. You can lay down on the ground, prop those legs up into the seat of your chair. If you want to pause me, if you're not watching on TV right now, I would recommend doing our seated pigeon stretch. So if you remember this one, you're crossing one ankle until you feel that stretch in the hip. Hold about 30 seconds up to a minute, and then switch sides. So I highly recommend pausing me and doing that if you've got the time. Otherwise, let's relax. So if you're going to stay in your chair, you might want to shift those hips forward a little bit. Again, we're trying to maintain an open chest here even when we relax, but it's not the end of the world if you do round a little bit here. We can give ourselves a break every once in a while. So if you're laying down, try having those arms out from the sides a couple inches with the palms up. That's in anatomical position. So if we were standing, this is anatomical position in any anatomy class, any physiology, kinesiology. This is the neutral positioning for every joint in the body. This is where all movement stems from. And this is corpse pose. If you're laying on the ground, this is exactly it. So it's kind of neat. So just trying to get that relaxed, open shoulder and chest. If you're in the chair like I am, I recommend just kind of interlacing the fingers so they can relax. Or if it feels okay to you, you can let the arms dangle down. Try to relax those legs, close the eyes, and just start to settle in. Maybe taking your last couple deep breaths before you begin to release your breathing here. Without control or effort, just letting the air slide in and out of the nostrils. And just maybe doing a quick scan of the body to see if you're holding on to any tension anywhere. I call these holding patterns in the body. In yoga, we could call them samskaras. It's basically these grooves energetically that we create where we go back and back and back to these habits. And they could be postural habits. They could be kind of like that vicious cycle where I'm upset, I make someone else upset, now we're both upset type habit. And so scan your body for that. Try to release those spaces until your whole body just feels kind of like a relaxed, loose, heavy blob of flesh and bone and muscle. And the only movement that you feel is the movement created by your inhales and your exhales. Feel that heaviness, the sensation that your body is completely merged into whatever is supporting it, whether it's the couch, the chair, the floor. Feeling as if you couldn't even begin to move your body if you wanted to. It's so relaxed, so heavy. And yet, when you bring your focus to the space of the heart, you feel a sense of lightness and airiness. This seat of our unconditional love. Color green, element air. Maybe sensing a swirling of green, light, air, movement in that space of the heart. Anahata, which translates to mean unstruck, pure. Feel that seat of love expand. Maybe see it, that green swirling energy starting to fill your entire being. With this capacity for love, for compassion, for kindness, for empathy. Filling to your toes, to your fingers, to your head. And then bursting beyond with no boundary, with no limitation. An infinite capacity to just keep generating, keep spreading. And you will change yourself and those around you. And feeling as if that sense of lightness and airiness has now filled and moved beyond your body. When you're ready, you can begin to move your fingers and your toes. Making those movements bigger. Maybe rolling the ankles and wrists, or making fists, pointing and flexing, spreading the toes and the fingers, really just any movements that feel good to your body right now. Usually a nice long stretch. And if you're laying down, perhaps just stay there, bringing the hands to the heart. If you're seated, or if you want to come up to seated, join me now. Just rooting down through the hips, lifting up through the crown of the head, palms joined together in front of that heart space. And bowing your head, just expressing gratitude to yourself for this practice today, for perhaps expanding the mind, body, and spirit, connecting them together. And may this capacity for unconditional love shine out through every thought, every action, and every word. Namaste. Thanks again, you guys. I hope you feel this sense of openness here, of lightness, of love, and that you can keep it with you as long as you can and share it with others. If you have any questions or concerns or comments or just want to reach out, you can find my info on the hub. My phone number's on there now. I know some of you had mentioned to me that only my email's on there, so now my phone number is on it. And if you're having trouble, just don't hesitate to call that front desk and get my contact info. I would love to talk to you. And I hope I see you next time. Have an awesome day. Bye, y'all.